Some of the younger fans that aren't as conversant with wrestling history may not realize that the real Hulkamania concept, of course, started in the AWA, and I got a lot of questions about why it was dispelling, fact from fiction about why Vern didn't put the belt on him, and there were some of the famous, I don't want to say dusty finishes, but apparently finishes where he won.
I was in New York wrestling on a card, and I wrestled Johnny Rods that night, and we had a heck of a match. And I came out of the ring, and Vince McMahon Senior said to me, "What was that?" And I said, "That was a wrestling match." He said, "Well, how are my guys going to follow it?" And I said, "Well, that's their problem." And I had seen Hulk there, and then I went back for another time, and he was really struggling. And he was thinking, I was going to hang it up. And I said, "Well, why don't you come to Minneapolis in the AWA?" I said, "We got all the greatest talent in the world, and let Vern work with you, and we'll all work with you." And I um, went back and told my dad about him, and gave Hulk the number. We never heard from him for about 7 months. And then finally he got a call, and he came in, and his first match was in Milwaukee, but he didn't do very good interviews. And Vern was good at helping guys with their interviews. And they put Johnny Valiant with him as a manager. So we went to Milwaukee, and the place is sold out. And Hulk's, I don't know, maybe on the third match that night. And Johnny Valiant's his manager. And, he was trying to be a bad guy on his interviews with Valiant. And I back home, I said, "Geez, hey, the people love this guy. No matter who you have with him, he could be a great star that way." So what we did is we put him in tag team matches with Jim and myself, a lot of matches with us, so he could get the flow of a match. And that we would tag in when we had control of the opponent and say, drop a leg, grab the arm, tag out, whatever body part we had been working. And then he'd start to get the flow of it. And then we got to Chicago, and we're in the Rosemont Horizon, sold out. And it's the three of us against Bockwinkel, Stevens, and Jerry Blackwell. And we got in the ring, and Hulk came in, and he gave that pose of his. And I said, "Jim, grab his T-shirt." So we grabbed the T-shirt, and we tore it off real slow. And those people went like that. And I think that was the day that Hulkamania started. It started prior to that, but that's when it went wild. And he got the feel for it. And why he didn't get the title?
Mm-hmm.
There's a story that goes with that, but he wasn't ready at the time to carry a title. He wasn't quite there yet. But we had a deal with CBS had come to us, and Vern and I had to sign an agreement, non-disclosure agreement. And that was 1983, April. They wanted Bockwinkel and Hogan in a title match. And we couldn't say anything about it. We didn't tell Hogan about it or anybody else, because we had this non-disclosure. And then was it December of 82? That's when McMahon grabbed him. We had a battle royal in Phoenix, Arizona, and him and Andre were going to Japan, and Hogan was Vince was on the plane with him, signed him to a contract. He came back. We had all Christmas week sold out. We had him in 6-man tag team matches, and he didn't show. Mm-hmm. And I called him up. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I signed a deal with Vince." I said, "That isn't the way you do business. So you have no problem. You just tell Vern, 'Hey, I'm leaving,' but you fulfill your commitments." That was the only guy that ever did that after when Vince went after him was Bobby Heenan. He finished all his commitments before he left and told Vern up front. Otherwise everybody, they'd pick him off and they would go. So Hogan, if he'd have waited, gone April, there was probably a pretty good chance he'd have been the champion then. And we'd have probably had a pretty good deal with CBS then after that.